through all the things that have happened to me, I do feel as though there was definitely a higher power watching my back, you know. I mean, growing up was fun, I guess, in the beginning. When I was younger, not so much. A lot of trauma happened in my family, so. Then I ended up on the streets at 13. My mother had met somebody and decided she was going to go on vacations and lock the door and tell me to find my own babysitter. So I was on the streets for a year. I got pregnant at 17. I decided to work instead of utilizing the state. I eventually did have another child at 23, so I had 2 sons. And my first marriage was very abusive. It was tough growing up. That was all in my 20s, all before 30.
Life was pretty good growing up. I actually gave my life to Jesus at like 15 years old, but when I turned 18 and moved out of the house, I kind of like strayed away from that, didn't want anything to do with it, figured I knew better, you know, and that's when, you know, like Melissa, the drugs and alcohol and fast cars and women and you know, anything else I could try to fill that void with, I abused.
So as a tattoo artist, I got licensed. I worked in quite a bit of tattoo parlors around Rhode Island, and was working there, and my uncle's like, hey, I got a buddy of mine said he's got a son that wants to learn how to tattoo. You think you guys can? Yeah, sure, you know, bring him on in, bring him in. He comes in, and I was like, oh, this guy, I like the bald hair and the tattoos. So I thought he was pretty handsome. So I'm like, yeah, I'll teach him how to tattoo.
I was dabbling in tattooing a little bit, and I had no idea, you know, what I was getting myself into. And, you know, she was flirting with me, and I was flirting with her, and, you know, I asked her out to go out, and we went out, we had a great time, and she just made me so happy that, you know, when you know, you know. So we were eating breakfast, and I was sitting across from her, looking her in the face, and I said, you want to marry me? And she's like, she didn't even hesitate. She was like, yes.
And I think he made a ring out of a straw, a paper straw, the straw from the paper. He made a ring, and I said yes. And we've been married for 13 years now.
Like our marriage was rocky, I gotta say. You know, like there were certain things, like I didn't treat her the best. I didn't love her the best. I can say that I didn't know how to love. My biological father ended up passing away, and he had a stroke in March of 2021. And 7 days later he passed away, and that's kind of what brought me back. You know, they say you gotta hit bottom before you look up. So that was it for me. That's what actually brought me back around and brought me to Bridgepoint. So I started reading in a lot of the New Testament, like Corinthians and Ephesians and Colossians, and there's just so much instruction on how to be a good husband and what your role is as a husband, and how to live, you know, for Jesus, and what I'm supposed to do. I just can't express enough like how much it has helped our relationship.
Then when he started to come to church, I got more aggravated with it than anything. You're spending so much time doing that and not working on us. I thought it was crazy. And I just didn't. He would come home and read the Bible in the morning, read the Bible in the afternoon. He would pray before he ate. He would pray at night. I'm like, this is obsessive, I think. And then I saw him change. You know, and I'm like, maybe he's onto something here with this Jesus. And now I sit here in church with my hands up.
Well, I used to say, look, like, God, why did I have to go through all this stuff? Why couldn't I just have come to you earlier? You know, why couldn't I just, you know, why did it have to be so difficult? But then, you know, I was reading and praying, and he just told me, you know, without the test, there is no testimony. And he knows everything. and he's always working. Even when you don't think he's working, he's working. God is just so, so good.